I love Microsoft.
They're coming after you, Steve.
They will. Well, back in the day, there was a guy named Mike Rowe, not the famous Mike Rowe, but another Mike Rowe. And he had a software company. So he called his software company Mike Rowe. Mike as his first name, Rowe is his last name. Soft.
Mm-hmm.
They shut his ass down.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was his own name.
Hell yeah.
They will kill
It's the way of the world, Steve.
Try to buy a Microsoft, any Microsoft branded domain name on the internet and see what happens.
Oh, yeah. No, that ain't happening.
It's not good.
Not happening. Steve, you ready to start this shit tonight, buddy?
Got my little Bigfoot voice recorder ready to go.
Maybe
I use that one for ghosts.
Oh, okay. Well, for now, I need you to mute.
Oh.
So that we can start
There's no mute button on this thing.
There is on your new Yeti, though. Once a week, 3 laddies come together from distant lands to talk about big feet, Martians, ghosts, time travel, chupacabras, and the Sweetwater legend.
I think we're all huge fans of the Sweetwater legend.
This is the Fortean Slip with your host, Chris York.
Say no to Quaaludes? Fuck no. Wait a minute. No.
Co-host, Steve Alcorn.
Can I take a break? Shut my camera off?
And sometimes special guest, Matt Knapp.
Accept it for what it is and just watch it and enjoy it.
They don't know who you are. They don't know what you want. If you're looking for entertainment, you may have come to the wrong podcast. But what they do have is a very particular set of skills.
No cows were harmed in the making of this incident. We often wish that your relationship went much like that of the praying mantis.
I thought that was a reference to everything being green.
Yeah, sure you did. Carry on, gentlemen. I'm going to do something else for a little while.
Wow, Steve, would you like us to stop the program so you continue to do your shit?
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge. Good evening. Happy fucking Halloween, everybody. Well, a couple days early. 2 days early. This is the Fortean Slip, episode 104. Halloween decorations for Steve. Yeah, we're gonna put a few in your front yard, Steve, of these Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah,
the ones we will be talking about tonight.
Okay.
I gotta get rid of a couple of bodies, Steve.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure we'll hang them in your yard. No one will know.
Nope.
They'll think it's a normal week. It'd be like a normal week for you anyway, right?
Yeah, my house used to be a meth house. So, yeah.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
I think I did. I think you might have told me. Obviously it like got busted at some point.
At some point, sure. Not while I was here. I mean, it's not currently, nor has it been since I've been here. For the record.
It was like Walter White was there with fucking Jesse.
You ever done any digging in the backyard?
Yeah.
Actually, I have.
With a metal detector?
With a metal detector, yeah.
Yeah. Find anything good?
No.
No.
Nope. Not a thing.
That's too bad.
Will a metal detector pick up the little strips? I
don't know.
Strips of what now?
The little strips, the
little strips that are in money.
I don't think so, no.
No?
Then you should probably just try digging.
Yeah, just dig it all up.
You know, I have to dig up the whole backyard just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to make sure, Steve. Have you ever seen what they do when they make all kinds of money when they're selling drugs?
No.
There's money everywhere.
Yeah, you got it all in your walls. You got
Yeah.
it in your plumbing. You've got it in your backyard, your garage, your attic. No, it would have been found if it was in your attic.
Because they can't. The problem is that they can't launder it fast enough, Steve.
So the only place I wouldn't find it would be the washing machine. See what I did there?
What?
You said they couldn't
money,
launder it.
washing
What?
machine.
No. I know where he was going.
He said washing machine.
Yeah, no. Bad, Steve. No donut.
I try.
No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. So, I was hoping, Matt, that by the time that we did the show tonight, that one KT had finished watching Eli. However, she's only halfway.
Well, she's a busy girl.
Yes. So, while I can talk about it, I can't give too much away because I
talk about the first half.
I can't ruin it. But what a fucking cool horror movie.
Yeah.
I thought, I seriously, to be honest, it got to one point in the movie and I was like, what is this? Like another Ari Aster fucking film?
Yeah.
Because it was just, I'm like, where are they fucking going with this? What's the angle? What's the, what's the end game? And, damn, that was a good hit.
Well, the thing that got me, without giving anything away, was the one point where you think they've done a reveal.
Yes.
And you're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, you fucking
then,
like, and I like the whole premise. So the movie starts out as a kid, he's like a bubble boy. They're keeping him inside plastic enclosures. He's got to wear like clothing to go outside because anytime he goes outside or out into the open air, he like starts having like lesions and it feels like his skin's on fire and etc. So they're taking him to this hospital, this private hospital, to be looked at by this specialist doctor who knows about his condition and has treated other people successfully. And then when they get there, it all kind of gets weird. And like I said, totally not what I was thinking. They took a fucking left turn, Clyde, that I was not expecting at all with this movie. And that's why I was very much like, is this an Ari Aster film? Like, is this going to be like an Ari Aster type ending to this fucking thing? And it definitely had that new type of horror film feel.
Yeah, for sure.
That's been going on lately. It's a completely new way that they make horror movies, which I like. It's actually, I think it's been nothing but good for the genre.
Yeah.
There's a movie I watched just recently called The Heretics. Have you seen that one?
Not yet.
That's one you should watch on Netflix. Watch that one so we can talk about that one. That woman gets abducted and she gets put through a ritual, but she wakes up the next morning and escapes. Years later, she gets abducted again.
Damn it.
And this guy is telling her he has to keep her safe until sunrise. And it's a fucking great movie. I really enjoyed that one. And I think you will too. I've been meaning to watch that one with my son, but when you had mentioned Eli to me and I watched the trailer, I was like, I have to watch this first.
Yeah.
Because he'll like that. And he did. He thought it was great. I thought it was great.
It used a lot of I don't know what to call them, gimmicks and like jump scares that we've seen before, but they still worked in this movie. The way that they
Well,
executed,
they did them a little differently. Like I liked the whole, and they show it in the trailer, like the flashlight down the hallway scene.
Yeah,
There's a couple of scenes that they did with some mirrors,
right.
which were really good, very, very well done. Like how, all of a sudden he would see something and then he wouldn't, and then he would, and it just added to the whole creepy factor of the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the way they implemented the horror of that movie.
Yeah.
And then at the end, God,
Yeah.
that fucking end scene.
It's
Without-
amazing.
Without telling anybody anything, the end scene to that movie is just like, it's such a fucking reversal, like turn around, like, oh, fuck you. Seriously.
Like, it's hard to pay attention to the big reveal that's going on because of the other shit that's taking place.
Right.
It's like, watching Avengers Endgame. It's the final battle, you're like, oh, look, there's Nova. No, wait.
Yeah, it was a very well executed movie, I thought. So, but yeah, check out The Heretics. I think you'll like that. And I haven't, usually around this time of year, I watch Halloween, and I haven't yet.
Those are staples here.
Yeah, I usually will watch Halloween and Halloween 2 at some point. I just
Like,
love those two films.
I'm completely okay with it. But like Leslie is like into like the old Halloweens, the old Nightmare on Elm Streets. Unfortunately, Hocus Pocus, which gets put on constant rotation. It's probably viewed daily at this point. But she likes those older, movies too that I like. So they always get watched during the month of October over and over again. But you know what surprised me is this year on the internet, on the interwebs, you've got the Halloween series, and then you've got that shitball film Season of the Witch.
Right.
The one that doesn't fit in with the story. It's just kind of inserted in there because of, problems they had behind the scenes. Everybody on the internet is really pushing that movie as like, oh, it's a great movie. It's one of the best horror movies ever. And like, it's better than the Halloween series. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Season of the Witch?
Yeah. Like they're now.
Are they doing it as a gag?
No. There's, I don't know, a new generation of horror fan. Like, I don't know what to say. Just people are pushing that movie as being like some horror masterpiece.
I don't see Season of the Witch as a horror masterpiece at all.
No.
I see it as a bag of dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they make these amazing 2 movies about this Michael Myers character. They literally create this demon of a human being. And then they make Season of the Witch, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Like it is a total deviation from the storyline. It's not even a deviation from the story. It's not even in the same fucking universe as far as I'm concerned.
No. I've like read the backstory on it, a couple times, and it was just a bunch of screwed up things with the production company and using the name of the movie and, just weird stuff.
Right, which happened a lot back then where companies got the rights to movies and would just completely change everything.
Yeah, which thankfully they kind of do, but don't do
anymore. Yeah.
Spider-Man isn't a half spider, half man. Still, your neighborhood friendly Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of newer horror, which I've been enjoying. And that surprised me because for the longest time, I couldn't watch any horror at all. Couldn't do it.
It got pretty stale for a long time.
and the storylines nothing was working. Like your standalone horror movies weren't working, your franchise horror movies, they were working for the people that needed to have them. You know, the people that are just that they live, sleep, eat, breathe that shit.
Right.
You know, those people loved it still. But you know, I lost such interest after, I can't remember when, it was somewhere in the 90s. I was just like, really? Yeah, fuck this. This is stupid. And I know when I watched the Blair Witch, I was like, what did I just watch? Because I didn't, like, everybody was saying this is a great thing. I don't see it.
I thought it was magnificent.
I see the Blair Witch. I did not like it at all. And then they came out with the new one, just like a few years ago. And it's about her brother looking for her. And it's such a better movie. It's done so well. I really enjoyed it. You know, he finds like a YouTube video online and he sees his sister in the video that somebody found out like in the middle of the woods or something. And then he goes looking for her. But it definitely kept my attention the whole time. But yeah, I didn't really like the first Blair Witch. And I was psyched for it too. Like watching all the stuff on TV that they had about it. I thought it was real. I was one of those people.
Oh, so did I.
I was like, oh, this is real.
Because I had been into the paranormal and everything growing up, and like, an incident happened where I was actually in the hospital in ICU and like heavily drugged when the Blair Witch came out in theaters.
Oh yeah.
So then whenever I got into a regular hospital room, I had access to a television again. And, you know, they were promoting the crap out of the Blair Witch. And I was like, oh, that came out. Like, I have to see it whenever I get out of here. So, like, I was confusing in my head the Blair Witch with the Bell Witch story.
Right. Which is what they wanted you to do.
Right. So I was like, you know, this is a real thing, you know? And so I went to the theaters and my friend took me and we sat on the front, like neck break row.
Yeah.
And I was loaded out of my mind on Percocets. I mean, I had just had like chest tubes removed less than a week prior, and like literally had like bandages wrapped around my torso. Like I should not have been out of the house.
Yeah,
but I went and watched this movie, and like I sat there. I don't even think I blinked the entire movie. The crowd leaves.
That's physically impossible.
Thanks for debunking that claim, Steve. So like the theater empties, you know, the credits roll, the lights come back up. We're the only people in there, and I'm just like still sitting there. And I turn and I look at my friend. I said, why the fuck did you let me watch this movie? Because like I was just like blown, you know, like holy shit. Like, why isn't there a huge manhunt going on? Like
someone needs to find these people.
Yeah.
I was working at Humpty Dumpty at the time, which is it was a potato chip company in southern Maine. They no longer exist in Maine. They're owned by a Canadian company now. They went bankrupt. But I was working with a guy that I'd worked with there, and he and I were notorious for like blowing through our roots in a short amount of time. Like we would just, especially if they put the two of us together. And at the time I was what they called a utility guy. So they would like either, if they didn't have a route for me to cover, they would send me out to help people. So whenever they would send me out to help Chris, his name was Chris too. We would be done so early in the day because he would just be like, oh, meet me here. We'll, meet me at the house. We'll leave your car at the house. We'll be done by well before noon. So it was one of those days, and we were getting close to the end of the day. He was like, dude, I picked up the Blair Witch. You want to watch it? I'm like, yeah, sure. I never, it was huge. So I didn't watch it in the theaters. So he picked it up on DVD. So we went back and watched it on his big screen TV. And I just wasn't really impressed. It was okay. Like I wasn't just totally blown away by everybody, like everybody else was by it. And no, I was just at the end of it. I was just like, what? Huh? Who? Why is he standing in the corner?
Would it surprise you to know that I have never seen the Blair Witch?
No.
Hmm.
No, wouldn't surprise me at all, Steve.
I have never seen it.
It surprises me.
I've seen that other movie he did.
Whenever you see anything, whenever you're like, "Oh, Chris, I've seen that," I'm like, "Oh, must have
I've
something."
seen that other movie he did with Bobcat Goldthwait.
What other movie?
Wasn't he the one who did that one? It was Blair Witch.
No, was that him, Matt?
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know if that was the producer or the director. I don't know.
Well, somebody involved with Blair Witch did it.
Yeah, I think you are correct.
I'm right about something. Nice.
See, well, the Willow Creek movie is very similar to the Blair Witch. It's that
horse shit
type of movie. And if you ask me, I think Willow Creek was done better than the Blair Witch. That's my personal opinion. But
really?
It's still, I enjoyed it maybe a little more, but not by much than the Blair Witch. Matt, wasn't the Willow Creek, wasn't that, didn't the Blair Witch guy have something to do with that?
He's Googling.
No?
I thought he did.
No. I had to look up the name of the movie that the Blair Witch guy did. He did Exist, which is a Bigfoot movie.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Maybe that's what I'm getting.
And Willow Creek was just Bobcat by himself. But he did do it in the found footage style, which the Blair Witch guy created.
Exist. Isn't that the one where the guy like goes out in the woods to find him?
I think so.
After his girlfriend gets killed or something?
Yeah.
That one's kind of cool.
I think there's a cabin involved, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it, but it's been like a long time.
I don't know. Yeah. There's very few of those movies that I can enjoy, and I can't remember what the fuck that one's called now. But I know it's the guy goes out of the woods, and it's after he survives the attack, and then he goes back out. And they at the end of it, they tried to make it out to be like they were going to make like a trilogy of them or something, or like a series of movies. That's all I remember. But other than that, that's all I got.
This new microphone has shiny lights.
Steve, stop talking when Matt's trying to speak. I can't hear him. Damn you.
Which also recently did like a video game.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, they did.
And it had a shit ending.
Oh, it had a shit ending?
Yeah. I mean, it was just, a bunch of walking around, jump scares and things like that. But like towards the end, they just had you like running through this maze that's just inside this house for like the last good 30, 45 minutes.
Richard Allen's a bag of shit.
Yeah, it is. Like you're just like running through this house and you're like, okay.
He says it's a bloody walking simulator.
It is. Look, me and Richard agreed on a video game.
I know, right? We should like mark this on the calendar. Dear God.
Have you ever been scared by a video game?
Me? Oh, fuck yeah. Resident Evil. PlayStation. Was it Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2? I can't remember which one. But the first fucking jump scare in that, of course it fucking got me. Yeah.
I've heard
before that, I've told the story. That's the one I think that I will always remember as the thing that scared me. Because it wasn't because I was on drugs, but the one that really got me was when I was on mushrooms. Was Doom. Oh, Doom 2 was the Cyber Demon.
Dead Space. That game's supposed to be really scary.
Yeah, I think my son was talking to me about Dead Space.
I've never played it, but I've heard that one's a really good one.
Yeah, Richard says that Dead Space is scary as hell. So, and
Like, it's kind of crazy that there's a whole like genre of video games that are dedicated to horror.
oh yeah, and they and the way they make them now.
Yeah, because like we had like Nintendo had like Friday the 13th. You know,
Whoa! How dare you? As a horror game?
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, we grew up with, the introduction of video games, and like they did not make the same style games that they make now.
Well, I was, I was a wicked horror fan when I was a kid, and when Friday the 13th, the video game came out, I was like, I have to play this. I have to check this out. And then when I played it, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this game?
My cousin got it, and I was so stoked to go over and like, see it. And I got over there and watched him play. And I'm just like, huh?
What are we playing? It was god awful.
Yeah.
God awful. But yeah, Resident Evil, I think it was on the original PlayStation. There's a scene when you're going down the hallway, and I think something comes in through the window or something. Maybe down off of the ceiling. But the way they did it, as you're walking along, and then they take over the perspective, but it's so quick that it happens that it takes you. And it caught me. But yeah, before that, it would have been when I was on mushrooms watching playing the Cyber Demon level. But that wasn't, naturally from the game. That was from the drugs. Other than that, there's been a few other ones. My son was showing me Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
He says, and I liked what I saw, and he says that is one of his favorite horror genre video games. He loves it. So it's definitely big, and it's big with a younger generation of kids. Not just us, looking back on it.
Right.
It's amazing how all-encompassing this stuff has become.
Yeah.
And that there are people who totally thought, yeah, we'll never sell video games to women or to young girls or anything like that. And now, like, there's humongous markets for that too.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's everybody plays them. And the horror genre market of video games, has become huge, especially with the way they can do them nowadays. Nowadays you get it's way more of an immersive experience, and now they have VR.
Right.
The horror video games that are going to come out for VR are going to be, they're going to blow your fucking mind, I'm sure.
I mean, there's already, streamers playing some that will do like, scare nights or whatever, and like if you like donate, it makes like a huge loud scream on their end that will make them jump while they're playing the VR game.
Right.
So you can try to like scare the piss out of the person streaming the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've seen streamers just like turn games off because they were too afraid, or like just like couldn't go forward anymore, because the anticipation of being scared like kept them from playing the game.
Yeah, sometimes you can get sensory overload too. Like that's a thing that happens.
Oh, it happened to me with the original Nintendo. As soon as I got one, one of the games I got was Wizards and Warriors.
Oh yeah.
And I played that game for hours and went to bed and couldn't get it out of my head.
Yep.
And I had to like run to the bathroom and puke my guts out.
I played a game, and now for the life of me, I cannot remember what the name of the game was, but it was a take on Space Invaders, but it was different. It was way more involved, and the creatures above you changed. And I played that game, and I played it so much that my thumb, when I was done, it was so cramped, I couldn't move my fucking hand, and I played it until I beat it, and like much like you were saying, it just was it was like it was burned into my fucking retina.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out of my head. And that was back in the days of the pixels on the screen were so huge that they would literally burn if you left your TV on and left things on for too long, you'd burn the shit into the screen.
Yeah.
And just staring at that for long periods of time, there's these same shapes over and over and
Yeah,
over
extreme
again.
radiation.
And then that game that I'm talking about, it was one of those Atari games where they started adding like the multicolored shit
Mm-hmm.
to the to the graphics, so it wasn't just that dead solid color stuff.
The white pixel.
Right. And I just, my eyes were just like, by the time I was done, because I was playing it in a dark room, and you just have all this stuff like flashing on the screen. I'm just like fucking, ah! By the time I was done. But yeah, they were always trying to like perfect that horror genre video game. And at this point in time, I think now, like I was saying, with the invention of virtual reality, I think that's where your horror games are going to explode eventually. When they figure it all out, they're going to explode.
I mean, that game Watch Dogs about hacking and stuff, I don't know if they were the first to do it, but I know they were probably the first to successfully do it. Where they integrated like your smartphone into the game. So you would get like messages and stuff on your phone. I think that's going to be a big part of it in the future.
Yeah.
On the secret show that you recorded recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that since it's a secret show.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
It's a secret
I don't
show.
know if we were talking about it on the air or if it was afterwards. It was afterwards, I'm sure, but we were talking about headphones.
Yep.
And we were talking about, I brought up the idea of like customized headphones to an individual's listening pattern,
Yes.
Yeah. So on Facebook the other day, I saw an ad for a new set of headphones that does exactly that.
They stole your idea.
With their app, it will custom tune the headphones
to your
listening. You take like a sound test on their app and it automatically tunes the headphones.
No shit.
Yeah. So somebody's going to get rich off of it. I was just a little too late.
God damn.
But I think stuff like that, the new Apple Watch can like detect, changes in heart rhythm, and like supposedly like one lady's life was already saved, like prevented a stroke because of her Apple Watch.
I heard about that. Yeah.
I think all of that stuff is going to step over and be integrated into the video game, or it's probably not even be called video games anymore. It's going to be called like, virtual
it's going to be
entertainment or something.
An immersive experience.
Right.
Is what it's going to be.
They already have like choose your own adventure games. They have for a while now. So the idea that, we used to dream of kids of having movies that you're actually in is, a week away, like.
Well, yeah. In relative terms, yes.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. And nowadays, like we had like choose your own adventure books, dude. Now we have choose your own adventure games. You have choose your own adventure video games. Like the way this stuff has expanded, and it's crazy. Like I play a lot of video games, and the amount of choose your own adventure video games, and I'm not talking that these are video games, these are books. They're basically, it's a choose your own adventure book, but it's set up like a video game, so you play it on your computer. There's tons of them.
Yeah, where your choices dictate the outcome of the game, and it will be different.
I have
your choices.
I have one that was made by Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson Games. He did like Munchkin, Car Wars. He's done a bunch of other cool shit. Zombie Dice. But I have one by him. It's called like House of Hell or something, where you like roll. You don't roll up a character, but you like roll some like ability scores for your little character before you start, and then you go through the choose your own adventure book.
Huh.
And it is pretty fucking cool.
Well, I mean, like, Red Dead Redemption 2, based on how you live your life, there's a number of different endings you could get.
Oh yeah,
And how people treat
totally
you in the
changed
environment.
storyline by your choices.
Yeah.
Which they started to do a little bit in Grand Theft Auto 4.
Right.
Yeah, but and what they're going to be able to do with that stuff, Matt? Holy shit!
That's what I'm saying. Whenever they start integrating, the smartphones and the watches and everything else, the VR, and get all of that stuff synced together at the same time, where a video game can detect an increase in heart rate and, say like, okay, this is a good time to scare them,
Right. Or when we are able to get those fucking bodysuits like they had in Ready Player One.
Right. Where now we're just the game.
Yeah, now we're in the game, and they got the fucking treadmills and the whole fucking 9 yards.
I mean, that was one of the things in the game that I was watching being played recently, the horror game, where it was like, if you stood in the dark too long, your insanity level increased, which would cause you to see more shit. Or if you paused where like you didn't move forward, and you just kind of stood there for too long, it would cause a jump scare of some kind. Of ghost would come after you or something to get you to keep going.
And that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like these, do they do like haunted hay rides where you live?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so they have these fucking things everywhere. I remember when they first fucking started, and they weren't like all over the place, but these rides became this fucking whole experience. Like they put on these whole productions. I knew guys that worked at these things, and that they like dedicate their lives to it every goddamn year for 2 months. But they made it into an immersive experience, and that's what's going to happen with these VR video games. They're becoming just much more of an immersive experience, and I think that's where you're going to see a lot of these Halloween style rides. I think that's what you're going to see them eventually turn into, because they run into a lot of problems with people overacting on these rides, and then they get lawsuits. He got too close, he touched me, whatever, the case may be. Whereas if they can just put on a fucking VR headset and go through the friggin' experience, it's completely different.
How the whole I don't know what you call them, but the amateur haunter scene, like hay rides and things like that, how like the new cool thing to do is like, the torture stuff, where you have to sign a waiver and they can't
right. I was just reading one, like you need to sign a waiver, you have to have a fucking safe word.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are people doing?
There's one Netflix actually released a documentary called Haunters that's out about people that run their own private haunted houses and haunted attractions, and it has a lot of those people. It has the big famous one, McCamey Manor or whatever, those people on there. And there is one where they like like a naked guy chases you. There's one where like they act out an attempted rape on some of the people, like on women and stuff that are part of the attraction. Obviously they don't go through it with it,
right.
But
I hope not.
Those things, I understand that, like, the mystique of what they do is drawing the crowds right now, where people are like, oh, well, I can make it, well, I want to see what they do to me, how far do they push the limit? I understand that there's people out there that seek that, but in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before these things get shut down.
Yeah.
Because like they've already had people that have had heart attacks, and I don't give a shit if you sign a waiver or not. Like there's ways to work around that waiver if you get the right attorney.
Yeah, dude, I'll never forget when I was real young. My father has a lifelong friend, um, and they were friends, from when they were kids. They're still friends to this day. They probably don't see each other as much as they should, but when I was a young kid, he and my father he has a son who's about my age, and we never became like close friends, Brian and I, but we would always go over and hang out and do things there. And there was one year they had a huge they set up I can't remember if it was like a basement or what it was, but they set up like a haunted house, and they did it not like extremely elaborate, but they went pretty all out with it, and set up like like a headless person, and like the person with the table so that you couldn't see the body underneath, but like the head on the table moving around and shit. And I mean, stuff to really creep us kids out, but yeah, let us have fun and enjoy it. And like at the end, they'd set up like a big bale of hay full of fucking candy. Wait a minute, I'm on my show. Why the fuck did I just stop myself from swearing? Jesus Christ. Full of fucking candy. And we had fucking fun, but yeah, we got scared a little bit. Nowadays you friggin' do something like that with kids, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Like, because you fucking scare them a little too much, and somebody's like, oh,
You grabbed the wrong kid.
Oh, no. Oh, shit. But that's why I say, that this stuff is going to go to a different type of experience, because especially when it comes to these pay for for the like your haunted hay rides or your haunted houses, it's going to become more of an experience,
Right. I mean, Disney
put on something and you experience it. Yes, if I could only do that on yours, Richard. For a second, for some reason, I thought I was on your fucking show. Jesus Christ.
I mean, you've got Disney and, Universal Studios and, major theme parks already incorporating VR into some of their stuff.
Yes.
And once they get all that perfected to a level where consumers can use it over and over again without it, costing a lot of money to upkeep and everything, that's naturally the way it's going to be, because it's cheaper to put people in a room with headsets on than it is to build a roller coaster.
Right. Correct.
And a lot safer.
Yeah, and they don't have to worry about shit.
And you don't have to worry about paying employees and insurance and lots of things.
You have less upkeep on the whole thing. You just got to upkeep on the fucking software, or the computer system that's running the whole fucking thing.
Yeah,
There's
and
not
more
nearly
people are doing it, the price comes down on all that stuff.
right. And there's not nearly as much overhead. So I think you're going to see a lot of these things like these haunted hay rides and stuff go away.
Yeah.
I mean, not go away so much. I think people will still go to the places to have the experience, but it will be a totally different thing.
Right.
It won't be like it is now.
I mean, because if you follow the pattern, more and more of the haunted attractions are becoming more and more extreme, pushing the envelope to try and catch up with the private haunters who are, torturing people or whatever.
Basically.
So like ultimately you have to get to the point of, well, I want to go through an attraction where I die, but I don't actually die.
Right.
And the only way to do that is through technology.
It's great. Yeah. I mean, you have people who basically want to go through like the human centipede.
Yeah.
Without
actually doing it.
It's like
people are messed up.
Are you broken?
People are messed up.
And dude, we've spoke about this before. People are fucking messed up. There are people out there who want to fucking amputate their own limbs for no reason whatsoever. There are people out there who like mutilate their own cocks and vaginas and fucking I
mean, the people, I think at this point it's actually happened more than once where a person has responded to an ad and willingly gone along with amputating a certain part of their body so they could
Oh,
watch
yeah.
the person eat it.
Yes, I've heard of that too.
Yeah, no.
Dude, this fucking weird shit.
What
People
the-
are fucking disturbing
Yeah, people are
What?
fucking broken.
Why?
because people are broken, Steve.
First of all, what makes you want to cut a certain part of your body
Steve,
off?
nobody like you're not going to be able to understand it. I'm not going to be able to
Yeah,
understand
we're
it.
not. We
I
can't
know,
wrap
but-
our heads around it.
And
Katie,
then what
maybe.
makes-
80 might be twisted enough.
I mean, she does have ducks.
No, no. I have no knowledge on this topic.
I'm not sure if the person, which one's more twisted, the person that cut it off or the person that's eating it.
The person that agreed to do it,
Yeah.
obviously.
I think they're both crazy.
Yeah, they're both crazy, but
Yeah, we'll
one
fucking
person is
start a Bible.
agreeing to have it done to them. I mean, I don't know.
It's so fucking.
What do they do for Halloween where you're at, Steve?
Yeah.
None of that. Nothing like
No
what you're
torturing
describing.
going on?
I mean, back in high school, we'd call somebody a cock gobbler, but it didn't mean that.
Yeah.
They didn't actually gobble a cock, is what you're saying.
Right.
Right. They weren't frying it up and eating it.
Is it fried? I mean, maybe that would make it more
I-
palatable. I don't know.
I don't know.
Deep fried, you mean?
It's the latest Midway fair food.
It's got,
Deep
got powdered
fried.
sugar all over it.
Yeah. What is that? A deep fried Snickers? Nope.
No, sirree, Bob. You take a bite of this here, little nugget.
You know, Chris, when you get hungry, you become quite the diva.
Here, have a penis.
I'm glad Chris got it.
Jesus Christ. Have a deep fried penis. It always settles you down, Chris.
And you know what? In Oklahoma, some motherfucker would be the first one to dip it in ranch.
Oh, damn, Skippy, they would.
Oh, we gotta have ranch.
Oh, God.
That isn't just concerned
Whoever
with-
invented ranch dressing as a dipping condiment, I'd like to slap them in the face.
Genius.
I personally, I'm not a fan.
I am.
I'm not a fan. Like, I'm still baffled when I get hot wings when they offer me ranch dressing. It's like, no, blue cheese is the only
Yes,
acceptable
please.
answer. Ranch? How dare you?
Oh, I've
Well, it
dipped things
depends
in
on the
ranch.
ranch.
No, I won't.
Like they even make like ranch flavored foods, you know, and
No, I'm good.
all kinds of stuff. But
I mean, I'm not saying I'm completely adverse to it. I'm just good. Like,
in
I'm
certain parts of the United States, such as Oklahoma, and probably where Steve's at, they take it overboard. They dip
to
everything in
another
it.
level.
There's
Yeah.
no overboard when it comes to ranch.
See,
Yeah,
Steve's been brainwashed.
Steve is one of them.
Well, it has to be a certain type of ranch. You can't just go to like Dollar Tree and buy
Right, it has to
cheap
be
shit.
Hidden Valley.
Hidden Valley is really good, and there's some other brands, but
Yeah.
it's a
Steve, you
smooth-
go the
it's a smooth-
you go the in the bottle, or do you make it yourself? Buy the package.
we buy it in the bottle.
I've done it both ways.
I've never made it.
Can be good. Can be good. Steve, from the chat room. Hey, Steve, how's the picking?
How's the picking? Oh, you got to take that off. I was going to pick my nose. And it's going good, Eric.
So Katie did a little research for us this week, gentlemen. Means to her to look into whatever she deemed fit this year for Halloween, since this is our Halloween episode, and she came up with mistaken Halloween decorations, meaning dead people.
Oh,
So she did some research for the show and came up with some a few different ones for us to talk about. In 2005, in Frederica, I hope I'm saying that right. Frederica, Delaware. A 42-year-old woman hung herself in a tree across the street from some homes on a well-traveled road. Her hanging dead body was in plain sight of both pedestrians and passing vehicles. Neighbors admitting to seeing it early that morning, but laughed it off as a Halloween prank. It wasn't until several hours later that afternoon that she was finally discovered. And this could easily happen. Like, especially some of the shit you see people put up this elaborate shit every year. I've seen some amazing Halloween decorations outside of houses. Some pretty amazing stuff.
So and if you're gonna hang yourself in your front yard, Halloween's probably not the best time to do it if you don't want to rot there for a while.
Well, that's what if you want to hide it.
Well, yeah. What you could probably commit a murder and do the same thing, and by the time Halloween was over, you'd be far out of town, right?
Yeah. And Matt and I were talking about this the other night on the Secret Show. The fact that the amount of Halloween decorations nowadays. We have lights for Halloween. Purple and orange lights. You know, and like there's trees, black trees or purple trees, I think they do too, for Halloween that people put out. It's a whole fucking thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah. I don't understand it, but it's a thing.
Around these parts, probably the most popular thing is the inflatables.
Oh, they're all over.
Yeah, those are all over. I
mean, you have them for every holiday, but you know, there's one house in
it's
my
getting out of hand, Matt.
Yeah, there's one house in my neighborhood that does approximately, I don't know, 30 for Halloween. And this is a small front. They're just like, you couldn't walk through the yard with them.
It'd be like having a wind turbine in your front yard.
I
mean, it'd be so loud.
It's going too fucking far.
And they've got them where they're like, 30 feet tall. Like, somebody's rich. It's not me, but like, damn.
Matt, do you remember it used to be there was that one eccentric guy in the neighborhood who like would decorate shit up like really crazy?
Yeah, I can take you to the house right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You're the one guy, and that guy, and they were always like, Bob's a little strange, but every year, man, you got to drive by his fucking house.
That's on a great show on Halloween,
But
Christmas,
now
whatever.
It's like fucking holy shit. Like everybody does it, and everybody thinks that they can do it because they just go to Walmart and just pick up the fucking goddamn Frankenstein inflatable, shove it on their front porch or their friggin', out in the friggin' lawn, and they think they're good.
Yeah, we've got a jack-o'-lantern in our front yard right now.
I mean, everybody did like jack-o'-lanterns and shit.
No.
Oh, you got an inflatable? You piece of shit.
I didn't fucking go out and buy it.
But you allowed it to be put in your front yard.
It is your house.
And you allowed your house to be painted green. So
I like green.
Yeah, I like jack-o'-lanterns.
So you say, motherfucker. But yeah, no, I mean, these things, it like swept the nation. I can remember when it started, it was like, Jesus Christ, another one. Like we'd be driving down the road and I'd be like, another one? Really? Seriously? Another inflatable? Get the fuck out of here.
Here's where I'm at.
Everywhere.
I don't mind taking like one trip to like Lowe's and looking at the ones they have on display and being like, oh, look, there's Buddy the Elf or whatever.
Right.
I don't like seeing all of them purchased and crammed into somebody's front yard.
Yeah. Like some dude went way overboard.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind it as long as they take care of them. It's when the half of them are deflated because they're too fucking lazy to take care of. You ever see that?
Oh, yeah.
Where they get the old blow molds and put them in the yard and half of them get blown over by the wind and they just leave them there for the duration of the fucking season.
Yeah.
That's my town.
Anyway, on to our next dead body in the front yard story. 2012, Denver, Colorado. A 46-year-old man had collapsed on his front porch after being dropped off from his night shift at work. The mail carrier that morning saw him and had to step over him in order to put the mail in his mouth.
What the hell?
He had laughed as he did, thinking.
Okay, see, here's the thing. You know what? This is the thought that I had whenever you were telling the first story about the lady hanging there.
Yeah.
This is what's wrong with society. The people that saw the old woman hanging in the tree and this postal employee that stepped over the man's body are the same people that post videos on Facebook of like computer generated bullshit and think it's real.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they can't visually tell the difference between computer generated and reality.
Yeah. There's a certain portion of the population that has such a disconnect. They do not.
I mean, did they think the old woman went out and purchased like a $20,000 movie prop to hang in her tree for Halloween?
It gets fucking crazy. But this guy here, the mailman thought it was a leftover Halloween decoration. The man's son
on the
came
porch
over later that afternoon and discovered him. Paramedics tried to resuscitate him but failed because he was still warm. When the paramedics arrived, it is believed that he may have still been clinging to life when the mail carrier had come.
Oh my God.
That fucking poor mailman has to live with that. Had the mail carrier called 911 at the point, he may have survived.
Had the federal employee recognized a human in distress at close proximity to the point they had to step over him.
Fuck. Could you imagine carrying that with you your entire life? Like fucking, I stepped over a guy clinging to life, and had I been like, oh, Bob can't breathe.
What we'll never know
No,
is
it's
if
not-
Bob was a dick to the postal employee before that happened.
Right.
It's
Like,
not-
oh,
it's
what's
not
wrong,
even-
Bob?
It's not even the fact that he stepped over him. It's that he laughed when he did it.
Right. And if that
And
guy
now
was
he's gonna
still
live with
alive and he fucking heard it,
But here's the deal. So like
You're
later on, that postal employee told people he laughed when he did it.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
I would have
when I-
left that out of the story.
One of the articles that I read did touch on the fact that he like had a mental breakdown after
Duh.
that
Oh,
whole thing.
sure.
I mean, yeah, he took it hard.
like I said, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine like knowing I could have saved someone and I just stepped over their body and thought that it was something else and laughed.
I would have denied.
Oh God.
Like Bob didn't have any mail that day. I didn't even go by his
I wasn't
house.
there.
Bob, who?
Shit.
That's not my route.
Wasn't there whenever I dropped off the mail.
Jesus. All right. Our next story comes from your neck of the woods, Steve.
All right.
2015. I hope I'm pronouncing this properly. Chillicothe,
Close enough.
Ohio.
Yeah, that ain't too far.
A murdered 31-year-old woman was found hanging from a chain link fence. A construction crew had found her but thought it was a Halloween decoration. It wasn't until they found more of her clothes and personal items scattered several yards away that they realized it was real and called it into the authorities. Later, several witnesses came forward and admitted to walking by that day and discounting it as decoration as well.
Yeah, I remember.
Were
that
there
story.
other fake dead bodies stuck to the fence or something?
That's what
Like,
we do.
once again,
What they do in Ohio.
I just have to
Well,
question that
shut
shit.
So
In 2009, in Los Angeles, California, a 75-year-old man was left draped over his patio furniture on his apartment balcony for 5 days, dead of an apparent suicide. The balcony was in plain view of the entire apartment complex, but neighbors all assumed it was part of a great Halloween display because the man was known for going all out on decorating his balcony for other holidays. One neighbor
did a
admitted to
good
going
job that year.
One neighbor admitted to going up to the balcony and taking pictures of the scene because it looked like such professional work.
because it
My
was.
God. That looks just like him.
How did he get a
captured
mask?
it.
I mean, he put out some lights and, a snowman for Christmas. But did you see his Halloween work?
Did you see that shit?
So for Halloween, they thought he would go with a suicide victim that looked identical to him. No fucking car
wonder-
pumpkin for Jack.
I wonder if the smell of shit. She was like, yeah, no, that's just got to be part of the.
Did people take selfies with it?
Jesus Christ.
And this year's award for best costume at the apartment complex goes to Jack, suicide victim, second floor.
Jack isn't here to accept their award.
A month later, the apartment office received several complaints because Jack did not remove his decorations in a timely manner.
In 2014, in Spring Hill, Florida, 2 men were hired to clean out a trashed rental home. They found what they thought was a mannequin hanging from the garage. They had loaded it up with the rest of the trash they gathered from the home. And took it
They
to-
touched it. They touched it and didn't realize.
It was the workers at the dumper were suspicious of it and called the police.
Oh,
The owner of the rental home had said he saw the mannequin when he walked through the house, but thought it was a distasteful Halloween decoration left behind by the renters. In all fairness, this was an easy assumption to make because the house was horrifically hoarded, filled with all sorts of garbage and filth. It was later confirmed the mannequin was actually the dead body of the 33-year-old man that had been renting the home. Oh, God.
so the landlord rented this home to this man
Yes.
and walked by this mannequin and didn't. I mean, maybe it was so bad that,
Yeah.
but they thought it was a mannequin, so it had to still look like a.
I think
somewhat like
this
a
one
human.
sounds suspect to me. This sounds like the fucking the landlord just wanted to get rid of it and thought maybe if he just fucking had some guys take the body to the fucking goddamn dump that this would all go away. I think this one
Have you
sounds
seen a mannequin?
Yeah, they have a certain look to them. The skin isn't gray and mottled. Jesus Christ.
The
Okay, so
eyes aren't
zombie-
bloodshot and bulging out. The tongue
Yeah.
isn't sticking out of the mouth. Bad
If they had-
things happen when you hang yourself.
Yes.
if they had
Mannequins
said
don't
mummy,
defecate themselves.
That's the other thing that gets me. It's like no one smelled shit.
Nope. I mean, I get it in LA.
Yeah.
And maybe the hoarder's house. But still, a mannequin. So now not only are you not realizing it's a person, but you think it's a mannequin on top of it.
Yes.
So this wasn't even
Yeah, this one, like I said, this one totally sounds suspect to me. For one, it's in Florida. That right there raises a lot of red flags for me.
was he jutting out a hip with his hand on it, and the other one cocked in the air with the fingers spread? He's in that classic mannequin pose.
1997, Connecticut, or Connecticut, as I like to say, man. A woman had been walking up to a busy haunted house attraction when she was struck by a vehicle in a tragic hit and run. Oh, God. She lay in the street for hours bleeding because everyone that passed by her thought that she was one of the actors working for the haunted house.
Help me.
People laughed as they pranced by her, noticing her reaching out to people for help. She eventually died in the road.
Well, yeah.
And it
Fucking hell.
died in a crowd of people
Oh,
begging for help.
yeah. Oh,
I can understand that one, though. That's the first
that
one
one-
that
Yeah,
I
that
can
was-
understand.
but that one's the roughest one out of the bunch.
That is rough.
Yeah. That's the worst one.
I mean, at least Bob was
Katie, I hate you
unconscious.
for that one. 2011, St. Louis, Missouri. We were having fun until that one, Katie.
Sorry, guys. That was
That
dark.
was a real downer.
2011, St. Louis, Missouri. A teenager working as an actor at a popular haunted house attempted suicide while she was working. Oh,
Doesn't
nice.
count.
Her spot in the show was a bloody bathroom scene, so the sight of her hanging from the shower seemed to be just one of their stellar displays. One of her coworkers eventually found her while he was making his rounds to check on things, but only after hundreds of people had already seen her. Luckily, she did survive and recover after 3 days in a coma. Oof.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's another
I
rough.
suppose, though, if you wanted to do that,
No.
that would be the opportunity right there, because
No,
people
that
would
doesn't make any
they can
sense.
stop.
Listen, I don't think most people, I think most people, when they commit suicide, they just want to get it over. They don't want to be seen. Like, I don't think that's a,
I don't
I don't
know.
know. See, like, why?
I would have to agree, but
Why? Like,
but then you wouldn't choose to do it at your place of employment either.
yeah.
If you, I mean, especially
And
that place
the
of-
last one we have, gentlemen, is Elmer McCurdy. There isn't a date on this one or anything.
well,
Elmer McCurdy was the man whose mummified body was discovered being used on the set of The $6 Million Man in 1976, the year I was born. It had been purchased as a prop, but revealed as a real corpse while filming. History would eventually reveal that he was a criminal whom had died in 1911 and was never claimed by any kin. The local funeral director had embalmed him extra well in case family ever come forward to claim him. He eventually decided to put it on display in the funeral home and charge a nickel per view. In 1916, 2 men came forward claiming to be his brothers. Of course, they were not his brothers, rather 2 carnies looking for their next big attraction. That doesn't surprise me back in that day. Over the next several decades, his body was paraded around, confirmed, seen in countless different sideshows and museums before finally making its way onto Hollywood sets by 1968, where it spent another decade making its rounds as a prop. He was finally laid to rest in 1977 with 2 feet of concrete over his grave to ensure he could finally rest in peace.
are they afraid he's going to get out?
Well, you know, he's Elmer.
Well, Elmer, he was a good actor.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've got pictures of Elmer on the internet.
Yeah?
Elmer played his role really well.
Yeah.
Shoot it to me. I'll fucking pop it up. Shoot it to me through Facebook. I'll freaking
Yeah,
pop
I'll
that
try
shit
to
up.
find a good one.
We didn't know him in life, but he was a hoot and death.
All right. That damn fucking Elmer. God damn it. But the thing with most of this stuff, with the exception of Elmer, because Elmer was dead for so long.
Holy shit.
Bombed.
Elmer
Um,
McCurdy, the outlaw mummy of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, it was
Of
totally in
Of course he's
Oklahoma.
from Oklahoma.
But the thing with all the other stories that gets me is no one smelled shit. You know, the people that touched him, like, no one noticed anything. Like, that's why the one from Florida, like, I think is extremely suspect, in my opinion.
Well, it depends on how long it had been, don't you think? I mean, it was a hoarder house, though. So the whole house probably smelled like shit.
Well, yeah, that one, there's that, but still, I mean, come
I mean,
on.
I agree with what you're saying, but then you and I have a lot of conversations where we remind one another that people are incredibly stupid.
Yes, I agree. But when it comes to stuff like that, that's a little different. Like, that's some pungent fucking odor.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody fucking defecates and then they're sitting in that dead for a period of time, people are going
Dead
to
things stink.
Like,
and start to
the woman that was
decompose.
dying in the road, she was dying in
Right.
the road. Like, that's a little different. And people thought that was part of the attraction. Like you were saying, that was the first one that actually made sense. Because people would go, oh, yeah, she's just part of the fucking,
Yeah.
she's just part of the haunted house. Oh, that's cool. They put something outside,
Yeah.
you know? But the rest of it, it's like, oh, ooh, here's some fucking rough ones there. Oof.
Sent you a picture of Elmer.
Oh, on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, Elmer McCurdy. Here we go. Let's check out. Oh, yeah. All right, let's share this. Let's share this bad boy with the people at home. Share the screen here. Little Elmer McCurdy. Here you go, people. You can see Elmer. There's Elmer. The outlaw mommy of Oklahoma. That's kind of cool. What do you think, Steve?
Old Elmer.
Old Elmer McCurdy.
You can see in my searches there, I've been searching for a female cloak, assassin's cloak.
It's Sally Beauty Products.
And Sally Beauty Products. Dead on. A schemer and a heavy drinker. He saw himself as an outlaw. Sounds like a guy from Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just crazy to me because at some point Elmer was sold.
Right.
And ended up in a prop house in Hollywood.
That funeral director did sell off that dead body.
Yeah, and it's not like the $6 million man was a small show.
He didn't give it to the two carnies who were who claimed to be the guy's brother, but he eventually gave it to people who did the same fucking thing with it.
Yeah. And he did put it on display for money.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I don't want a funeral guy to do that with me if nobody claims my body.
Right.
Just embalm me real good and put me in the front window. Like, no. And the $6 million man, that was a huge television series.
Yeah.
So they weren't messing with some back alley prop house. What the hell? They had Andre the Giant in a Bigfoot costume, for God's sake.
Exactly.
One hell of a prop.
It was an actual dead body, Steve.
And what episode involved Elmer?
Yeah.
What was that storyline?
Because I'm going to watch that one.
Yeah, you gonna check that one out, Steve?
Elmer.
They figured out it was real because they had dropped it and the arm fell off and a bone fell out.
Oh.
Just imagine the conversations Elmer had in life, though. I'm telling you, Clyde, one day I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to be on the picture box in Hollywood. You're drunk again, Elmer. Shut up.
Did they know Elmer would be a movie star?
Okay, so
Elmer's prophecy was fulfilled.
When did he start being a movie prop?
I don't know.
Does it say? I mean, he died in what?
1968.
Wasn't there anybody still alive who would? Hey, that's Elmer. No?
1911? I don't know.
From 1911, Steve? I mean, come on.
Yeah, there would have been people still alive, but would they have recognized his mummified body on TV?
Right. Would they have known? No, I don't think so.
Well, and he was a criminal. He did a train robbery. He robbed a train a couple.
And they didn't have fucking HD TV back then, Steve. They didn't fucking pan the camera over old Elmer, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's Elmer." I'm pretty sure.
Well, if you want to go visit Elmer, he's in Guthrie, Oklahoma. So
Guthrie, Oklahoma. Matt, I think you should take a trip.
We're going to Guthrie.
Pack up a picnic lunch for you and Leslie. You're eating in the graveyard today.
They wrote a whole book about
Elmer?
About Elmer and his
glue
post-mortem career. It's called Cowboy Outlaw.
The Cowboy Outlaw. Jesus.
What is that?
Oh no, wait, never mind. It's it's an album.
Returned to Guthrie, Oklahoma from Los Angeles County, California for burial April 22nd, 1977. That was exactly 3 months to the day from my birth.
Huh?
Maybe you are reincarnated.
They found him the year I was born, Matt. That he was dead.
Connected to Elmer.
We're connected through Elmer. Not the glue. Totally different.
But I do want to watch that episode.
Of
Did
the
they?
$6 million
What I
man.
want to know is, did they continue filming the episode after they were? and
Probably.
Of course they
continue.
did.
Oh
You
man,
ever
we're
heard of a
halfway
movie called
through
The
this shit.
Crow?
Yeah. Brandon Lee got fucking shot and died, and they still finished that film. They're like, shit, we can make some money off this motherfucker.
They're still making Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah. They'll
Like
take it,
actually, who was it? Spielberg, I think, bought the rights to like a bunch of dead actors to use in future movies.
what?
Like waiting for technology to come catch up where they can do like, holographic stuff. And they, like,
Did he
bought
buy the
rights?
rights before they died or after?
No, after.
Get out of here.
Yeah, real deal.
Spielberg. Fucking hell.
I think it was Spielberg. It would have had to either been him or Cameron. Like,
Yeah, it had to be somebody with a lot of money. I mean, hey, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Elmer wasn't a very good bank robber.
No.
No, his post-mortem career was much more successful. He
In
kept blowing shit up.
his pre-mortem career.
He blew up a safe and melted all the silver coins because the whole thing exploded. And he used too much explosives. Another time he blew up a whole bank, but the safe remained untouched.
Go Elmer. He sounds like a hell of a criminal.
Elmer.
The story of Elmer. So, what's everybody doing for Halloween this year? I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Nada. I won't get any trick-or-treaters. It's all just going to be a boring Halloween holiday. I considered like dressing up for the show tonight, and then I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I didn't want to put in that much effort. I decided to go with the Steve Alcorn amount of effort for the Fortean
That's
Slip.
exactly the right amount of effort.
Of effort? It's
I
not too
dressed
much.
up as a zombie.
It's not too much. It's not too little, Steve. The Steve Alcorn amount of effort for the Fortean Slip.
Exactly the right amount.
So yeah.
Inside the fun house would be the episode.
Oh, of the $6 Million Man. Yeah. So how you are liking your new Yeti, Steve?
I don't know. How's it come across? Does it sound good? I mean, I like it. I think
Yeah, it
it's
sounds good.
phenomenal. I think it's way above and beyond the regular Yeti.
Yeah. I'll be getting one eventually, but
And because it comes with software where you can tweak it, it makes it a much more versatile.
right, and it allows like you to put some filters onto your voice and stuff that make it a little.
Yeah, you can
sound a little
customize
cleaner.
You can customize the filters as well, so that you can make it sound however you'd like. But
Right.
I just use the presets. I think I'm on Broadcaster 1.
I mean, I think both you and Matt sound great.
Well, I was listening to the intro and I'm like, man, is that how my mic really sounded? It wasn't that good, you know?
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah. And a lot of times, and we found this out, a lot of times when we were doing the show, your computer was hooking up to your webcam mic, so you weren't even using your Yeti for a bunch of the shows.
yeah.
We found that out. So, because I was pretty sure of it, and I kept asking you, and you're like, no, and then one day we found out that you did. So,
The only complaint I had about the mic was there was no instructions on the box, in a really tiny writing. There was instructions on how to find the software.
yeah,
But plug and play, it was still good.
yeah.
And once I found the software and figured out how to use it, it was not too bad. But you have to download this Logitech stuff, and
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, they're trying to do away with any type of instructions in boxes anymore. I found that with most anything it's so minimal now compared to what it used to be.
But the biggest advertising point of this microphone is that you can download this software and it makes it better than the old microphone.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't tell you really how to. I mean, they do, but in very, very tiny. I don't know if Matt's experience was the same, but in very tiny print on the side of the box.
Mhm.
and I had to use my jeweler's loop to read the damn thing. Seriously, because I have bad eyes. So, but other than that, once I found it, there's not a ton of features, but it's enough to make it sound however you want it to sound. So you can make it as professional as you want.
Right.
Or as there's an AM radio setting where it sounds like you're on AM radio.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because I used to do that with I had a program I could change shit out Morphox, so I could change like how the voice sounded because it was a voice changer really. But you could do stuff like that, make it sound like you were talking through a telephone or like you're talking over, old timey radio type stuff.
This I don't know if
presets for it.
This software I don't think will do like voice changing or anything like that, but it'll give you more of a studio quality sound if that's what you desire.
I'll bet you you'll be able to get software updates for it where you can.
The other complaint I have about it is there's no volume control for the headphones. So if you're like we do, we plug our headphones into it so that we can hear the show through the microphone, and it makes it a better experience for us. So you have to have the software up and running to adjust the volume in your headphones.
No, you don't.
Well, then how do you do it? Because I turned this button and it doesn't do shit.
Hold down the button for like a couple seconds. It'll change colors, and that's your headphone volume. Maybe you should have read the rest of the box, Steve.
Yeah. There was no...
Yes.
Oh, man, it worked.
Yes.
And you can also do it again and adjust the volume between the PC and the microphone. So you can like completely cut out all sounds from the PC and just hear your own voice if you want to.
No shit.
And like adjust that balance.
Okay, I like this even better. Now that I know.
The only thing you can't do directly on the mic is adjust the EQ and the color of the lights.
Right, which I just used the green that it came with because
I think the whole point of the mic is to go after podcasters and streamers and that whole thing, where they don't want to mess with professional audio, but they want the professional audio sound. And this
Yeti's always, or Blue has always been a higher end, consumer grade mic.
Yeah.
So it's never really been a choice of major professionals. So I'll go with the Shure or something like that.
And whenever it comes to like
Blues do give you a really decent professional quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. They're an excellent microphone.
Even the Snowball. If you go even with the Snowball was a great little mic for the price.
Yeah. Cause that's one of the things that I noticed about when we got these microphones early on was that our podcast always sounded better than a lot of these other ones where they were just using their webcam mics or whatever the case may be for a microphone.
I mean, the Yeti, the original one you're on, Chris, still sounds great. It's a great microphone.
Oh yeah.
You just can't tweak the EQ of it.
I wonder if you downloaded the software, if it would recognize that microphone. Probably not. But it would be interesting to try.
I don't know. I mean, like you're saying, it's still a great microphone. It still works, good. But the way that new microphone, what it does with your voice, and especially like with when you're sitting in the room, how it kind of hones in on your voice instead of the other stuff going on. I think it has way better ability in that case, in that fashion to pick up, like when you're talking into it, your voice, it just hones in on it rather than the other sounds in the room.
Yeah, to me, the different settings work better than they do on the original.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can hear it. And like we were saying, the day you came in with it, Steve and I heard it instantly. It was an instant, oh, holy shit. That sounds way different than what Matt used to sound like.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, recording my last Cryptid Tell or whatever, I didn't have to do anything afterwards.
Right. You didn't have
Or
to.
normally
do
I'd
your
have to
normal-
go in and do a bunch of post production to make my voice sound better. And with this, like the compression and all that stuff was already done.
Yeah, just it does it for you.
Yeah.
So our new sponsor, Blue
Blue Yeti.
Yeah, we can
Yeti X.
we can fucking dream.
Yeah,
I
it would
I
be
love the
nice.
microphones. I'll I'm definitely gonna get that one. So we'll all have them for the most
So if
part.
somebody wants to, support the show and send Chris some money for one of these new microphones, so we can all have the same microphone.
Actually, I'll
You're
be able to,
asking-
awesome.
I'll be able to get
You're
one.
asking the wrong people.
Yeah,
man.
no shit.
There's people
I've
that
been asking
listen
them
to
to
the show
support.
that have
I've been
money.
asking them to support the show. Like, I mean, they can go to Anchor now. At anchor.fm / the Fortean Slip. I think / listener support or something like that. And they can give 99 cents a month.
99 cents.
Wow. what a
99
deal.
cents for the price of a cup of coffee. You can support the show a month.
You can save a dog. You can save a
Or
child
you can
in a
save a
third world
child in
country.
Africa, or you
Or you
Or
give Chris a fucking mic.
Fortean Slip.
You can get Chris a new mic.
That's right.
It
And then
never
after he gets the
ceases.
new mic, go save the dog and the starving child.
All right.
Right,
You have an
only 99 cents a month.
you can-
Priorities, people. Priorities.
Right. Get with the fucking program. No, people ask all the time, how can I help? How can I support? What can I do?
give me a buck. $1.
I asked, but Steve, I asked people to do stuff that costs them no money,
Yeah, well, I know that.
and I can't get that. So
Well, you can't get it out of me either. So
yeah, I mean, and you're on the show, so. But yeah, if people would like to support the show, there's your opportunity. Listener support is open. 99.
Our lines are open.
That's right. Our lines are open. You can give as low as 99 cents a month. There's other plans. Check it out if you'd like to support us.
Next week, Steve will be juggling and spinning plates.
That's right. He's working on that right now.
Remember when plate spinning was a big deal?
oh, that was awesome. Those were the times.
Yes, Will. You bought a fucking shirt. We appreciate that you bought a shirt.
I bought a
Will
shirt.
has always been a supporter. There are certain people who do support. But by and
Frank Smith lent his voice to the. Oh, never mind.
there are people out there who do, but there's there is this how shall I say this? There's a
silent
running
majority.
theme. There's a running theme when it comes to people asking me this question. They'll be like, "Hey, how can I help support the show?" And I'll be like, "Oh, you can do this." And they'll be like, "Oh,
Share it on Facebook. Oh man, that's just no. I can't. No,
You mean let other people know I listen to the show? No. There's something else I can do?
yeah."
Yeah, make a bunch of fake accounts.
I had one person who went back and listened to all the old shows on YouTube, which is all good, fine and good. That's great. It's good. It's all good. But yeah. And they thought that was going to, help propel the show forward by them going back and listening to each individual show, which it does help the show.
Minutely, yes.
Yes, minutely. But it does not get the show out there to other people. Or,
We want the big time. No, we don't. Do we? Maybe we do.
I don't know what the fuck I want at this point, Steve. I enjoy having some fun. If we can make a little money out of it, sure. That'd be cool.
I've never made any money on this show. Huh.
Yeah. It's surprising.
I mean, I'm here every week. I should.
I've made very little.
If anybody needs my PayPal address, I'll send it out.
What are you trying to say something to me, Steve?
No, I'm trying to say something to the fans. They can give me money.
Oh, you want them to give you?
Yeah, I just spent a whole lot of money for this show on this microphone. I should be reimbursed.
Whoa.
So you don't have any other projects you use that microphone?
Right, you don't do any other type of YouTube videos?
This would be the first live show I've done with this microphone.
The first live show. How many will you do this week with that microphone that are
At least,
not on my channel?
at least 2.
Yeah. So let's explain factually what happened here. Steve bought a microphone
Yes.
that he will use more than 300% of the time on other shows.
300%.
But
Where
it
do you get your
was-
numbers from?
Because you said 2, but it's more like 3 or 4. And because you
No, I
do
only-
stuff on your own too, and you do this show once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the percentages are there, Steve.
There can't be more than 100%. Can there?
I have a little over $1,000 worth of equipment I've purchased to do this show.
Yeah.
I have no other projects.
You don't have
just
another
this.
Bigfoot
No.
project on a YouTube channel that might
Nope.
be called Bigfoot Crossroads.
No, there's a guy that sounds like me, I've heard. But,
You actually got $1, Chris. Look at that in the chat.
There's a couple of people. Listen, I said there's people that do. There's people that support the support of the by and large. There's a very small pocket of these.
Here's the deal from private conversations with Chris. Chris appreciates greatly all of the listeners.
Oh, yeah.
And there are people that do help out to support the show, that listen to the show, that are fans of the show.
Mhm.
Chris is talking about the people that ask how they can help.
Right.
And then don't when he gives
then
them
don't help
options
at
to
all.
help.
Which has happened.
Which includes leaving a comment, liking the upload, whatever. Like it doesn't cost anything.
I ask every week for people to comment on the show. Not in the fucking goddamn chat while the show is live. Go leave a comment on the video. Thumbs up the video. Thumbs down the fucking video if you want. I don't give a shit. Do whatever. But I ask that every week. I barely can get a fraction of the people that come in on a weekly basis to comment. Chubbs is pretty much every show. He comments on every show. And then if he misses it, he goes back and he's like, I'm sorry.
Chubbs is a good guy.
Chubbs is the best.
He submitted a video. He's been on here.
Chubbs is a fucking firm supporter of the show.
Fuck Dean Cooper does his part.
Fuck Dean Cooper.
Fuck Dean Cooper shows up every week.
Fuck Dean Cooper bought a t-shirt.
Wow,
there were people who asked me for a t-shirt.
Oh, they wanted you to give it to them.
No, wanted me to put out a t-shirt and then didn't buy one.
Maybe they didn't.
There are those people out there.
They didn't like.
And I get like when I did the t-shirt, like I get that it was pricey. There's only so much I can do with that shit. Like I wanted to make sure that I was able to make a decent amount off the fucking thing. I didn't know what I was going to make off the fucking thing. I didn't know how many I was going to sell. I didn't sell that many. All in all.
And let's be perfectly honest. I did push you to do that.
Yeah, you did. But hey, it all worked out. Like I made a little bit. It wasn't like it was a bad idea. But a lot of the comments that I got from people when it came to the shirts was, wow, that's pricey. Okay, so you had to spend fucking 20, I think it was 24 or something on the fucking shirt plus shipping. And I've never spent any money on the show in 6 years. That's it. But very few people bought one. Out of the, number of people that we have that are weekly listeners, it was a very small portion of people that bought t-shirts. So, like I said, if people want to support the show, there's avenues to support the show. I am going to eventually release the cryptids playing poker T-shirt. I haven't decided when yet. I haven't decided how. I might do it a little bit before Christmas. I don't know.
And it's going to be $30, bitches.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
No, if you guys want a budget T-shirt, we can do that. We'll send you a plain T-shirt. I know how to get them for $1 and a Sharpie.
Yeah.
You could have
Do
your
it
budget
yourself
T-shirt.
Fortean Slip shirt.
Yeah. We'll do it like they do those. What do they do that when everybody goes and drinks and paints? We'll do a live show. Everybody gets out their T-shirt and puts it on a fucking
dead body that they think is
and
a
it
mannequin.
won't be a real Sharpie. It'll be a Dollar Tree Sharpie.
Yeah.
So just letting you know, it might run out of ink before you're done.
And we can all make our Fortean Slip T-shirts.
I can get
together.
Sharpies until
and it'll cost you all $100 because it's an immersive experience.
And it's one of one.
Oh, genius.
I think that's the best. I think that we should do it. $100 a T-shirt. We send them a blank T-shirt and a Sharpie, and then they have to come in while we're live and make the T-shirt with us. $100 a T-shirt. I think it's a great idea. Great idea, Steve.
I know. I'm a genius.
It's the best. It's a good idea. We could take this other places, Steve. Coffee cups.
Oh, I have one. Hold on.
We fucking blank coffee cups.
Stickers.
With fucking stickers and permanent markers.
Now, the stickers will say
it's called
US
the fun
Post
mode.
Office, and it will
take the
have
top
to and
off.
from on it.
Yeah.
Watch. This is magic. Take that out, turn it around, and now you can draw on it. Remember these from the 70s?
Oh, this is a game changer. Right
Wait. Now it's blank. Look at that.
This is a game changer.
So if you want one of these, it's 75. It says cents, but that means dollars.
Yeah, the exchange rate on that from Ohio to the rest of the world is
the coffee cups will be a little bit cheaper than the T-shirts.
Yes. I will include a real Sharpie with this one.
Oh, one that actually says Sharpie. Wow.
Or we could just get a bunch of styrofoam coffee cups.
That's Matt. I like where you're going with this. I
I can have Leslie snag a box from her office.
God, we just saved ourselves more money.
Nothing but the best for our listeners.
That's right. You guys all have to spend $100 on a styrofoam coffee cup and a fucking Sharpie.
And we will include instructions.
We're not going to actually send you the instructions. It'll be a PDF file that you can download
for 99 cents.
It'll be in the form of an ebook that you have to get on Amazon.
And we will send you a link to a place where you can purchase Sharpies.
That's right. From
cups.
Yes.
For 99 cents.
From us.
After you've paid the $100.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. I agree. I think it's a great idea too. I think it's an awesome idea.
Glad I thought of it.
Yeah, people agree. Ooh, yeah. I show that someone did spent 99 cents on the subscription. I'm thinking it was Bad Gaming 69 there, Matt.
Oh,
Bad Gaming 69 is an awesome username, so it's got to be an awesome person.
Yeah. We've given him shit for his username before.
I
but
like it.
Yeah, some support out there. So we appreciate that.
We can all retire soon.
That's right. Listen, that's what I'm looking for. Steve, just help me retire.
Speaking of projects and other podcasts, there may be one coming up. I'm in discussions. So.
With what?
It won't be competing with this show.
Why are you in discussions with other people?
Yeah. For what?
I have other friends.
Steve, stop beating around the bush. What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't know yet. I'm in discussions. I've signed one of those things.
You've signed a thing?
Non-disclosure agreement. That's what I mean.
So somebody else is in discussions, and you're part of that discussion.
Well, there's no actual official saying I just scribbled something on a piece of
What
paper.
Steve means is that
Signed it.
while he was in the restroom, a man nudged his foot underneath the
Hey, you wanna do a
partition.
podcast. No, that a friend of mine. Yes, I have other friends,
Hey, want to play with my penis and do a podcast?
and I may, and I'm not going to say anything much about it because I don't know yet. Be doing a totally unrelated podcast to Fortean stuff.
subject.
And
Les
totally unrelated.
Eckersley is Bad Gaming 69's real name, by the way.
Ooh, now we know.
That's right. Les,
I'd rather
order of the show.
I'd rather it be more Eckersley, but you always need more Eckersley.
Do you, Steve?
Steve Alcorn,
Just fucking full of.
did you just say that you're in talks with another person
Yes.
about a non-competitive Fortean subject show?
Non-Fortean.
Non-Fortean.
Yeah.
Non-reseller.
It's not the one you're thinking of, Matt.
Oh, was there another show that I don't know
You got to
about?
be careful,
I can get on?
Steve.
You gotta be careful. You're treading some dangerous ground here, Steve.
I'm an emotionally fragile podcast host.
That's right. And things are happening in Texas.
You don't want to fuck with me, Steve.
Things you don't understand, Steve.
In Texas. Huh?
That's right.
I'm just saying that that was another reason to push me to buy the microphone. That there may be, we don't know yet.
So you invested in something that isn't even concrete yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
Isn't that nice of me?
It is.
Yeah.
It has nothing.
Shows
to do
commitment. Something I lack.
Yes. We won't even talk about me. Steve, I wish Halloween was more exciting for me this year.
Halloween's never really been exciting for me.
I love Halloween.
The only time it was exciting is when I lived next to an apartment complex, and it was small, so you'd go around and do your rounds, and then you'd come back home and change your costume and do them again, and then you'd come back home and change your costume and do them again. It was kind of exciting, but other than that,
Yeah, no,
Do you role play, Steve?
do I role play?
And by that he means with your wife in the bedroom.
That's off limits. I thought.
We're talking about costumes, Steve.
How about that, Les Eckersley?
No, I love Halloween, and I used to I used to have a group of friends. I don't anymore because of drug addiction. Just kind of like tore everybody apart. But we used to get together at one guy's house every year, and we'd listen to all the Halloween music, like the Halloween soundtrack and the Exorcist music and all the different shit, creepy music shit. Would be like running throughout the course of the night, and we'd all fucking dress up and hang out. And his table in his kitchen sat in like the front open window, so we would all be like visible to all the kids that came up. And he would always dress up elaborately and hand out candy to the kids because he loved friggin' Halloween. It was just fun. I had a lot of fun with it, and I miss that shit. And it's not like where I'm at now. It's not like legit. Was as far as like kids go, it's not logistically. We're just not going to get it any.
Well, we get a ton here, but we did it one year. We passed out candy. It was exciting. It was fun, but it was expensive. So now we don't do it.
Yeah, well, you got to
spending all this money on other people's children.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something you got to be willing to go for it if you're going to do it.
Let me tell you a long, elaborate story about Halloween.
What's that?
I'm going to tell you a long, elaborate story about Halloween.
Okay.
We like Halloween. We can't afford to go all out, but we do get the fake spider webs and put them on the bushes out front. We've got a bunch of fake spiders and the inflatable jack-o'-lantern that I didn't approve of, but is in my yard, and a few lights. Various things, little few decorations inside the house. But my neighborhood is very close in proximity to an elementary school and a other schools, and there's a lot of kids in this area. So my neighborhood is pretty popular during Halloween. Now, where my house sits, I sit on the outer edge of the neighborhood. So as far as my traffic is concerned year to year with trick-or-treaters, it varies depending on the weather. But the neighborhood itself towards the middle has, thousands of kids every year. One year, it was very nice weather, and it was the busiest year we ever had. And there was people everywhere, people coming in with van loads of kids and letting them run through the neighborhoods, parents driving their kids up and down the streets, kids all over, it was just chaos. And, they usually start right before sundown. The little kids go out, before it gets dark, and the bigger kids come out and everything. And it was probably around, I would say, 8 o'clock or so. I mean, prime time Halloween trick-or-treating. And the neighborhood is just packed with kids. I mean, looking up and down my street, there's probably at any point in time, 50 kids on there just going door to door. And then off in the distance, you hear a man yelling. And he's several blocks away, and he starts to get closer, and you realize he's yelling someone's name. And he's like running up and down the streets on foot. And like, he's like running down our street, and he's like, has anybody seen a little boy? Like, I can't remember what he was dressed as. And it was the kid's father who's lost his child in this crowd of trick-or-treaters. And like, police came, and they're like patrolling the streets looking for this kid. The helicopter came and was like circling around overhead. And like, hearing this man, begging and pleading and screaming his son's name, running through the streets, was the most terrifying thing I have ever experienced on Halloween by far. I mean, that is like every parent's nightmare.
I couldn't imagine.
Like losing your kid on Halloween. Eventually after Halloween, because, it was kind of left open-ended, we have a neighborhood website, and I did find out that the child was found. He had wandered off with another group of little kids that were all trick-or-treating together. He was really young, so like, he didn't really know any better or anything. But can you imagine what was going through that father's mind? I mean, you could hear him, like, it's just really scary, to hear a man like screaming for his son, like 2 blocks away, and like, you can hear him getting closer and everything. And it was just horrifying.
Oh yeah. I mean, you had told me the story kind of like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And I was horrified just like at the idea of it. I'm like, I couldn't fucking even imagine. Like, anytime I've ever been out with my kids, they're like right there with me.
Yeah.
Like, they don't go out of my sight. Like, the minute I hear something like that, it's like, I think of how closely were you really watching your kids?
Right.
That's the thing.
Obviously, he got distracted. I mean,
right. And
most parents stand at the street, and the kid walks to the door and walks back to them,
Right. Like, I've never taken my eyes off the kids, for any length of time that they could just all of a sudden disappear or take off or whatnot. There's a portion of parenting that's shitty.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be addressed. I was listening to a radio show the other day, and they were talking about stolen bikes. Like, and it, we've all had a bike stolen or something stolen when we were a kid, by somebody in the neighborhood. Now, if you're a parent and your kid brings home a bike out of nowhere and you're not asking fucking questions, like,
right,
thoroughly, you're a fucking asshole.
Agreed.
And you're part of the problem.
Well, like, and then parents have a certain amount of responsibility in general. I know people get pissed off about this. I mean, how many times have you heard, don't tell me how to raise my kid, you know?
Oh God.
But I'm saying I feel a responsibility as a stepdad, you know, having the kids in my life. I always felt a responsibility if I was around other people's kids that were unattended, you know?
Right.
So, like, here's this group of kids. This other kid wanders off with them on Halloween. Where's the other parent saying, whose kid is this? You
Right.
know, like, why didn't somebody else notice it? And I know accidents happen, and luckily, you know, it had a good ending and everything.
Right.
And, you know, who knows what happened to cause the initial split up. But I absolutely agree that there's a lot of parents that aren't doing their jobs.
Yeah, they don't pay attention.
I lost my kid once. For real. In a Walmart.
Yeah.
Had to go call fucking Code Adam. He decided to slip. I mean, because we had 2 children at the time. And I was paying attention to my daughter, and he slipped into the clothes racks. I was hiding in the clothes racks, but we didn't know. We had to call his name. I mean, and it's terrifying. It really is terrifying. If I wouldn't want it. Now, if it was out in the streets in town like that, holy hell, I can just imagine.
Where there's like cars filled with strangers driving up and down, and everybody's in costumes with masks on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
a whole different.
It gets really confusing.
I mean, you know, we grew up, you know, Chris and I, at least. I know Steve's an elder, but you remember, I'm just messing with you, Steve. You remember those instances where like kids were getting kidnapped, like people would take them into like Walmart and take them into the bathrooms and like put a wig on them or like shave their head or something and just like walk out of the store with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Halloween, when it's dark and there's a crowd of people wearing costumes, like it wouldn't be difficult to throw a mask on some kid and fucking put him in the car and drive off.
Right. And well, and the problem is though, there's these on these holidays and stuff, there's this culture of fear when it comes to the media. Like, let's instill fear in the people. Let's make them think of the worst situations that could happen with every one of these scenarios so that people freak out.
I got pissed yesterday reading a news article from a news station because you're all probably browsed your local Facebook groups and you know that people put creeper alerts out, right? You ever see one of those stupid, this white van was in the neighborhood and they stopped for 2 minutes here. And well, they
I know
did
you
this
get
to
upset when they put your vehicle out there, Steve.
They did this to this old guy who was driving a white truck, and it was all a misunderstanding. But the lady made up this whole big story about how he's taking pictures of her 8-year-old son and all this shit. And all he was doing was trying to call his son because he was on the wrong street. So he stopped for 2 minutes, and it went all over the whole town. And people were calling this man, and he's probably in his late 70s, you know, he's just a little old man, calling this man a pervert every time he stopped for gas or and the guy's not even on Facebook. So he had no clue what was going on. So, I mean, people just go way the fuck overboard with that shit. And that happened somewhere in New York, and it just happened this week. So now they put it on the news, and now everybody turns on the woman who originally posted it, you know? And I understand why she did it, because the culture that we live in today makes people do this stupid shit without thinking, right? So now she's evil.
Yeah. Okay. But people can use a modicum of restraint when it comes to this shit. Like when you see like Barbecue Betty and all of these other fucking idiots out there, you know, calling because of shit. This is the same type of fucking thing. It's ignorance. You know, it's stupidity. I don't care. I don't care. We saw an old man in a truck with his phone, so therefore he's a fucking pedophile pervert. Like her mentality is a problem.
Yes, agreed.
Or how people go on high alert on Halloween, which it's good, but guess what? People get kidnapped every single day,
all the fucking time.
It happens way too much.
Which we all know the razor blade and apple thing wasn't even a real thing,
right?
But now I drove to a town last Halloween. That's not my town, but the police station had a thing set up where you could bring your Halloween candy in. And I'm thinking to myself, where the hell did they learn how to check candy? You know, they have no ability to even.
And
They don't
how
have an
many
X-ray
fucking-
machine in
and
there.
How many
What are they gonna
fucking
do?
people
Taste
are
it?
actually doing this?
People a lot.
They used to do it a lot.
Fucking
Yeah.
Christ. Really?
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling you, on the Secret Show, they set up stations at malls just to
Yeah.
X-ray candy.
Well, and here's the thing, like we've talked about this too. Like when we got our candy when we were kids, we had to lay it all out and check for friggin' holes, and
Mm-hmm.
if the package is open at all, you can't eat that.
I ate the fucking shit anyway.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Nothing ever happened.
If I laid my candy out and let my mom and stepdad inspect it, I lost all my Reese's peanut butter cups. Fuck
Yeah.
no.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
a toll fee at my house for sure.
Damn, Skippy.
Yeah. Well, so when my kids got old enough, I used that. Yeah, there might be something bad in your candy.
Yeah, I gotta check that shit.
I got to check.
Let me
that's
see
just
that bag.
Reese's
Yeah.
open.
So my kids got to the point where they'd eat half the fucking candy before they got home because they knew I was going to take all the Reese's peanut butter cups.
Well, now this year, I mean, this isn't the first year it's happened, but this year I've seen it a lot more than in recent years. The whole, edible marijuana items being handed out as candy.
God, yeah.
Like,
fuck you.
These are obviously people who have no idea about.
Listen,
marijuana.
let me explain something to you people. One bag of gummies costs $35.
And how many gummies
$35.
were in that bag?
10.
Yeah, that's like a little bag you would hand out on Halloween.
Right.
But nobody's going to spend thousands of dollars.
Okay, even if someone went out and bought one of those little bags of gummies, like a few of those, and gave out one, that's a lot of money to spend. No one's fucking doing that. No one's doing it as a joke. No one. There are not fucking tons of people out there who want to dose your child.
People, generally speaking, because I can't speak on behalf of everybody in the world that partakes in marijuana, but generally speaking, they're not sinister people out to like scare little kids. Like they wouldn't be there whenever it happened. They wouldn't know if it happened or not. There would be no point in it for somebody with, sinister motivations other than just the thought that they did it. And all it's going to do to the kid is make them freak out.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was those little sugar dots, those little tiny dots on a big piece of paper. Well, those
LSD,
would probably
man.
have LSD in them.
You
You can't. Yeah, and so I wasn't allowed to have any of those because
do they know the
might
street
have
value of
LSD.
this?
Jesus.
I should have sold them to the other kids in the neighborhood. Is what I should have done.
No one's gonna fucking give away that much LSD.
No, but
I
the
think
fear
the-
was there, and it's perpetuated by the news media. Because they love those kind of stupid stories, and it's never. I don't think it's ever been proven to be real. Any of it.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, the only cases have ever been family members doing it to kids in the family.
A specific target.
Yeah, there was a specific target for the candy. Other than that,
Well, it wouldn't make no sense for some stranger to give some strange kid some candy, and then that kid walks off and eats it sometime later. They would want to see the results of
Right.
that.
well, maybe so, unless they're looking to cause a panic. I mean, we all know that somebody did the whole Tylenol scare thing,
Right.
back in the 80s, and was never caught. So there are people who do go out there to do like fucking crazy shit just to cause a panic, although they don't know if that was a targeted thing or what the deal was with that one.
Now I'll tell you who they need to go after. Those fucking assholes licking the ice cream.
Oh yeah,
People lick ice cream.
yeah. There's a whole thing with that. Didn't the woman who first did it there? Didn't she get like a shit ton of time though?
I think so, yeah.
What, like at an ice cream shop before they give it to you?
No,
No,
at the
they went
grocery
into
store, like
Walmart.
opening ice cream, licking it, and putting it back in the freezer.
Oh yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, that needs to end.
It'd probably be the same people who would eat fucking Tide Pods.
Yes.
Oh, did you see that they're making alcohol pods?
No.
Yeah, it's like a
Interesting.
Tide Pod, but it's filled with alcohol.
Can't you just take a shot?
Yeah, this is the picture. Now you don't have to taste it.
But isn't part of the experience tasting it?
Wait,
Hey,
what?
listen, I'm just telling you what they got out there. They're just like the Tide Pods, but and I've hesitated posting, especially now because the like
Yeah,
page has been
don't you
suspended for a
post it.
week. But I've hesitated posting it on Facebook because I might get nailed for community standards.
That's another thing that's gone way too fucking far.
Yeah.
I get that there should be some community
Yeah, the
standards. I
like
get
page
that.
for the Fortean Slip has been down. I haven't done a fucking thing with it all week because Facebook hit me for a community standards violation. They won't tell me what it was. I appealed it. I've got no answer. They give me no fucking response. No anything.
But that's part
so
of the.
I just stopped
It's
doing
part of
anything
this
with the
whole
page this week.
mentality that's been going on, and it's been going on since a long time. I mean, obviously with the razor blades and the apples and things like, but with the internet, it's just expanded, you know. And the fact you can't say anything to anybody for any reason without
Yeah, it's a knee-jerk
doing
reaction
something to
bullshit.
somebody. So there was another article that pissed me off this week. There was these pumpkins that you could go to Bed Bath and Beyond and buy, and they were the color of the pumpkin was black, and they had a white painted face on it. So some African American person complained about that. The NAACP in that town complained and said it was blackface, but it wasn't blackface because it was white paint on a black pumpkin, whatever. And Bed Bath and Beyond pulled them all because of that one.
Oh yeah, it's all
One
knee-jerk
complaint. It's
reaction for
bullshit.
everything. Anything that comes
And-
down the fucking pike.
And I realize I'm a white guy saying this, but my God, people, you're making
No,
yourself
see, and
look
that's the
stupid.
no. See, that's the other thing is the other thing that bothers me is you're white. You can't talk about race. Okay, I'm sorry. I was unaware that I'm not a member of the human race.
But
I was
black-
unaware that I don't have any say or any leg to stand on.
Blackface was definitely a racist looking. I mean, it was racist for sure, right? Back in the day, it was racist, of course.
Mhm.
But a black pumpkin with a white face, it's a decoration. And it was
It's-
not meant ever.
It's a culture of outrage that we're in. Everybody's got to be outraged. I am outraged.
But Bed Bath and Beyond also had white pumpkins with black faces, and nobody complained about those. It's the same thing, just reversed.
It's stupidity. All of it's stupidity. Listen, who is the NBC host? She was on Fox. She went to Megan.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What the fuck's her name? She loses
Megyn
her job.
Kelly?
Megyn Kelly. Not a Megyn Kelly fan at all. But her losing her job for simply asking the question about blackface, I think that was one of the most abhorrent knee-jerk reactions ever. Like literally, she just asked the question, like she had the discussion about it. And because she had the discussion, that we can't have that. We can't even talk about it.
There was
What
another.
the fuck is that?
I don't read a lot of news because it always pisses me off when I read it. So, but this week, for some reason, it kept popping up on my fucking Facebook page, and I read them. So the other one was there's a school district somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And they want to hold back children from going to the prom if they have an overdue lunch bill of $75. Okay. So they haven't paid for their lunch all year. First of all, if you can't pay for your lunch, you qualify for free and reduced lunches in most cases. If you don't qualify for free and reduced lunches, your parents have the ability to pay that bill generally. But when I was in high school, they held back things like that. But there's so much outrage that they're going after poor people with this holding back prom because these people didn't pay for their lunch. They shouldn't have to pay for their lunch and be able to do everything else. I'm like, dude, they're not going after poor people. They're going after people who owe a fucking bill, and it just pisses me off that the whole mentality nowadays is you're going after this culture or this race or this person just because of their situation. And it's generally not even the case. They just want to get paid because the state doesn't cover all that stuff, If they have an outstanding lunch bill, it has to be paid so that they can provide lunch to the people who are paying,
Well, that's been that type of thing has been going on for a long time, where people cherry pick things to be outraged about and to rally behind for causes. This has gone on for ages.
When I was in school, though, if you didn't have all your bills paid, you didn't get a yearbook, you didn't get your high school diploma. If you graduate, you had to have everything paid for before you could do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's no different than any other school district out there that does the same thing.
And there's
just
I would find it hard pressed to find a school out there where if a kid couldn't afford a meal and was hungry, that they wouldn't feed them.
This school did,
but
have,
obviously there's places where it's happening though.
This school
I don't think
has
so.
had considered,
I think you have situations because of like what we have now in schools where you got like a bunch of people who probably wanted like an extra slice of pizza or something, or wanted a soda or whatever and didn't pay for it, put it on their student account or whatever, and just never paid the bill. And mom and dad's pissed off at them for doing it, so they're not going to pay the bill. I know kids that like had their lunches paid for or had lunches that they took every day, and they still run up like a huge lunch bill and then sprung it on their parents at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my kids did it. My kids would buy extra shit and then I'd have to pay for it. But I would pay for it because it's my obligation to the school, not to my children.
Right.
So I can't let the school hang just because my children made a bad decision.
Right, but like you said, they offer free lunches for a reason. They offer reduced lunches for a reason.
Easy to qualify for free and reduced lunches. 90%, not I don't know about 90%, but in the school districts my kids went to, almost every kid was on free lunches or reduced lunches.
Yeah.
Because the threshold is very high. So
and there's always they use, at least here, I can't say always, but here, even they still offer like a plate lunch for like $1. Like even if you're not on reduced lunch.
And I think in these instances where these kids have the bills, you're talking like a la carte lunches.
Right.
Where these kids are going through and picking out what they want.
They can afford to go to prom, but they can't afford, the 70.
Right, and that's the thing. And I think what you're finding, like there's a lot of entitled fucking asshole kids out there, who are raised by shitty parents. It happens.
There's a lot of shitty entitled parents out there who think, oh, this is my child. My child's going to get the best. Yeah. If I don't pay for it, oh the fuck well, you're still going to give it to them.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of that. The problem is that it muddies the waters for the kids that deserve the shit.
It's raising an asshole generation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One of the things I'm proud of my son is that he fucking notices it. He sees it.
I have to admit that there's been times where I've been not the greatest parent and gave my kid things that he shouldn't have had, because I felt I didn't have this when I was his age. I want to do this for him, that kind of thing. But that isn't the right way to be a parent,
right?
Just giving in to everything. And now that he's 18 and he's an adult, it's still difficult for me when he calls me and asks for something.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better.
Well, I think entitlement is one of the worst things that we can possibly teach.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm guilty of some of that.
I ran into a group of kids at a restaurant recently with their parents. I think it was just one parent, but I was absolutely horrified by the way that these kids acted and like the parent just didn't give a fuck. And you see it. I see it a lot. I used to see it where I used to work. There's this fucking douchebag I used to work with who would constantly talk about his boys. And every time he talked about his boys, all I could think of was, your two sons are pieces of garbage because you allow them to be.
In fact, probably encouraging them.
Yeah, because he'd come into work and he'd talk about it, and he'd laugh, he'd giggle. This is what they did last night. Yeah, you fucking douche. You're raising a fucking generation of cunt heads. Yeah.
And then we wonder why we're in the situation we are with the mentality of people nowadays.
Yeah.
I blame the 60s.
It's just it's a lot of it's just disgusting, and it's plain ignorance.
How do we go for respect from respect? You know, the 1950s, everybody pretty much respected everybody else. It seems so. I'm sure there was a lot of bullshit going on.
There was a lot of people that weren't respected in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Well,
See,
you know what I'm
anybody
saying.
who goes to that, they don't pay attention. They're not looking at shit. And Matt's absolutely right. There was whole fucking portions of people that were disrespected.
Well, yeah,
women,
and I know that.
Black people.
I understand that.
I mean,
but I'm saying the youth respected their parents. It seemed like for the most part.
No, I don't think so.
You know?
Nope, I don't.
Maybe it's just how it was portrayed to everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it. It was propaganda
because it was portrayed that way.
Yeah, because all the TV shows had fucking, you know, everything was portrayed as mom and dad slept in separate beds, and you know, everything was fucking beautiful and wonderful, and everything was Pleasantville. Yeah, that's the only reason people think that. It was garbage.
Well,
just like it is today.
Garbage.
Matt, it's always.
I mean, bad shit has always happened.
Right, that's what I mean.
I don't think it was as widespread.
As long as there's been people, there's always been garbage. There's always been bullshit. I mean, look at what was happening in the Wild West. People were just shooting each other fucking willy-nilly.
Right. That's why I'm saying bad shit's always happened. I just don't think it was like as commonplace.
Oh, I do. I think it's always been commonplace. I think that we just the fact that there's so many more people on the planet now, we see much more garbage. And now, especially with like the advent of the internet and media and everything, we see it every day. We don't see it by far at a higher rate than what we saw it as kids, Matt. I mean, think about the news cycles when we were children. And think about the news cycles now. And it's a totally different thing.
Right, because we're allowed to talk more about things, but at the same time, we're being censored more about what we can talk about.
Yeah,
like we've traded out. Like as a kid, you would never sit down and watch a sitcom that had like rape in it and like the word dick. And now both of those things are allowed, but at the same time, you know, a certain joke or something nowadays would like get the show jerked off the air whenever it was okay. And I'm not talking about like Archie Bunker or anything to that level.
Well, no, there's certain portions of speech that are being like, I won't say taken away, but they're being demonized. Like whole sections of like, or it's even gone beyond speech.
Right.
And
it's gone beyond the norm.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think, like I said, I think we've always been, or like we were saying, there's always been a portion of people who are garbage, and there's always going to be.
I mean, for instance, as a kid watching commercials about McDonald's with Ronald McDonald on there, never did it cross my mind that Black people or gay people or Asian people or any minority, any grouping of people outside of white people, none of those people were allowed to eat at McDonald's or enjoy McDonald's because they weren't in the commercials. but now it's treated as though that's how everybody thinks. So now they don't put. It's like McDonald's is afraid to put white people as the lead of their commercial.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They went completely in the other direction.
But
Right, they're overcompensating for things.
I went back and watched a bunch of old TV commercials just for fun because I enjoy that sort of thing. And the racial mix in commercials back in the day was pretty much the same as it always has been. I mean, there was a lot of African Americans and Asians in those commercials. And I thought to myself, man, if you think what people say now is these people have always been oppressed, and they have been. Don't get me wrong. People oppress people because that's what we do. But they were there, and so like I was watching
but you're talking
McDonald's
about
commercial
but
from
you're
the
talking about
1970s.
you're talking about the 70s and 80s when they started shoving them in there. Like, because that's what you had to do.
But yeah, if you go
Like
farther
the
back,
big
there
joke
was
is
no
the
black
the
people in
big
there,
the big joke is always the fucking Sunny D commercials. You know how they had to have one of everybody in the fucking Sunny D commercials.
But like if you watch toy commercials from the early 80s or the late 70s, whenever toys was a really big thing for kids, you didn't see like a little white kid playing with a little black kid.
Yeah.
You saw two little white kids playing together.
Generally, yes.
But at the same time, nowadays they'll have a toy commercial.
1978.
Where's the black kid at? Where's the black kid?
Yeah, where is he?
So
or her.
But nowadays,
Or
you
him,
wouldn't
her.
find a white kid on the package. Or you would find like a complete diverse group of kids,
Right. And another thing that's going on in this age too, Matt, is the demonization of the quote unquote cis white male.
Yes. But see, here's the deal. I don't have any issues with them doing that in commercials. My issue is the fact that as a little kid, whenever it was lacking, I did not have those thoughts.
Right.
Kids,
I didn't
kids don't have racist thoughts. They're taught racism.
Right.
And that's the problem. It doesn't, the commercial doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
The joke on TV doesn't matter.
Correct.
I grew up on a farm where people would come to the farm and pick their own produce. And a good portion, it was a very diverse group of people who came to the farm. I grew up with that, and racism never crossed my mind, ever. Because I grew up, but my granddad who ran the farm had problems. He had issues with certain races, and that comes from him being from the generation he was from.
Well, I've often told people that, when my stepmother's has those mixed kids in the family, and when they introduced us to them, they made it a point to sit us down and talk to us. And in a way, in retrospect, I kind of get it, but it's like we were kids. You could have just introduced us to each other and we'd have been fine.
Yeah.
I'd have been fine meeting them, and hey, I'm a kid too. Like if I can, like you were saying,
we're kids.
We don't think about that other bullshit.
No.
Hey, you're just a kid. Hey, you're into this shit too? All right, let's go fucking swim go hang out.
The one news story that actually cheered me up this week was a story about these two kids who met in preschool, and they were inseparable, boy and a girl. And they eventually grew up, separated, and got back together and got married.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the boy was white. The girl was, she was from India, so she was dark-skinned Indian.
Mm-hmm.
The article never mentioned it. Never mentioned it. Just put them out there as a regular.
It shouldn't have to mention.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to.
Right. Exactly. And that made me happy.
Now, however, there is a problem when it comes to media reporting, when it comes to criminals, when it comes to their skin color.
Yes.
Where they will not mention skin color when it comes to, well, we're looking for
a male.
Yeah, and it's like that is kind of the time when it's kind of most important to know what the person looks like. But yes, I agree with you, Steve. In that case, we don't need to know. The two people,
You can
they
clearly
found
see
each
it
other
if you
again.
want. If you
They
want
got
to make your
together.
judgments, you make your judgments. If you don't, you don't. And I
Yeah.
think
Which
it's
is all
wrong to make
fine
that
and
kind of a
dandy,
judgment.
and it is nice that they didn't mention, the ethnic background of either one. However, if it had been two people of the same ethnic background, would it have been an article to begin with?
The article was it went viral not because of their skin color. It went viral because of the story. How they met in preschool, they separated for a lot of years, and how they got back together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would have still been an article.
Yeah.
Because they never mentioned. They did mention that she was adopted from India way at the end of the article, but it wasn't part of the actual story. You know what I mean? So, and only because they wanted to. Her mom and dad kind of met the same way that she met the boy, and they were giving the background, and it was great.
What? Who the fuck?
Put that up so I can read it.
Hey, cunt head.
Oh, my kids are far from angels.
Attention to what we said. Do we think kids are naturally angels?
I don't think I got that from anywhere. My kids were assholes.
I don't know.
Look up
You're
the
the-
Beaver
when we
family in
talk about
Broken Arrow,
fucking ignorance and
Oklahoma.
stupidity, we're talking about you. Jesus.
No, they-
fuck
Nobody
Christ.
said they're angels. I'm saying racism is taught. Hatred is taught.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That was my entire point. Like,
Holy old fucking hell.
No, kids are generally assholes.
yeah,
Mine were, and they'll tell me they were.
I
You know,
was
they
an
know it.
asshole.
I was an asshole.
Some people say I still am. I mean, they're stupid.
I
but
definitely am.
Whatever.
I'm an angel, but
Sure you are, Steve.
no, I agree. Kids can be some of the meanest fucking people out there to each other, especially. You know, especially high school was a tough time for me. You know, and I'm sure it was for some of you guys too.
But listen, if you, Walter, don't want to accept the fact that parenting has a big part of how kids act, then you are fucking oblivious. I have two children. So yes, I'm very fucking well aware.
I have 3.
And you have to look at the bigger picture whenever it comes to parenting, because you can put up the argument that, well, I didn't do any of that. I didn't teach my kid, and they still act like this. Right. But what about the parents of the kids that they're hanging out with that they're trying to act like and trying to fit in with?
And that's another place I failed as a parent. I let my kids hang out with. I didn't want to be that parent who said, no, you can't have this friend. But by doing that, I went too far sometimes, and let them hang out with the idiots, and so and that's bad parenting, and I'm guilty of it. Right. So, but I also don't think everything should be blamed on.
Well,
bad
everybody is, if you want to call it guilty, everybody is guilty of making mistakes or having, afterthoughts about things that they could have done differently. That's just part of the gig,
My son, to this day, I let him hang out with a certain group of kids, and he's like, "Dad, why did you let me hang out with those kids?"
And again, like I was saying before, if you're a parent and you're seeing activity, things that are happening, and not asking questions, you're not doing anything to change or fix the situation, or you're not trying to, curtail any of this shit, then you're encouraging it.
But also, it does go a little bit to the other side too. Like anytime my kids got in trouble in school, what the first thing the teachers would ask is, "What's going on at home?" So and it doesn't always have to be something going on at home. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that's the first thing that they ask. And so then my kids would come up with something that's going on at home that wasn't, and you get children's services called on you and some bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
and you
children
also have
can't.
the situation how we were talking about media and television and the things that are put out there and how it's changed over the years. Well, guess what? Your fucking kids are seeing the same shit, only they're
It's tou-
seeing it whenever they're kids.
It's tougher to be a kid nowadays, but it's also tougher to be a parent
Like
because of that stuff.
like the videos of like hostages being decapitated, you know, that like found their way onto the internet that people watched. You know, I chose not to watch them personally. I know a lot of people did, you know, whatever. But I'm saying, guess what? Your fucking 8-year-old had access to the same fucking video. Some of the most popular websites out there for kids to go and watch videos are videos of kids fighting, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like doing fucked up shit. Like Snapchat, like Snapchat has everything on it, and it's mostly kids.
I just got to say something real quick
If you're
here.
a parent and you're not paying attention to what your kid's checking out, or
I
what
got to say something. Walter Manson has the most fucked up logic I've ever seen.
kids
Sorry, Walter.
natural.
Kids are not born racist. If you want to make the argument that they are,
Christ.
then
Fuck.
you're the problem.
Jesus Christ. Could you fucking make yourself a goddamn Halloween decoration? For fuck's sake, go get a fucking
Let me
rope.
guess, Walter, you're going as Hitler again this year?
Kids are not born racist. Kids are not born anything. We teach them to be what they are, whether we like it or not, whether we teach them correctly or not. They're not born into that. There's no way you can convince me that they are. Can they be assholes? Absolutely. Can we parent them correctly or parent them badly? Absolutely.
Jesus.
But they're not born racist. They may be born gay. That might be true. I don't know. But they're certainly not born racist. Nobody is. You put two babies in a room together, they have no fucking clue. You put two toddlers in a room together, they're going to play together because they're both kids. That's all they know.
Racism is wrong.
Period.
On any level.
Thank you.
And whenever a little kid does something wrong, they try to hide it from the parent because inside they know the difference between right and wrong in a general sense.
In a general sense.
So if anything, they would avoid being racist. If there was anything involving that they were born with.
I don't know any child who's been born into a diverse situation, you know, in a school, let's say, that had a very diverse mix that ended up being racist.
No,
I don't know any.
It
just doesn't happen that way.
It's so ignorant. God almighty. Yeah. Anywho, on that note, gentlemen, it's been fun.
I'm out.
Yeah. I have to tap out on that one.
Hey, Walter, come on back next week. We'll have some more fun. Cody Chris Smithow says, remember when we saw Spider-Man when we were 16? Haha, good times. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. I don't know.
I might know who that is. They might have to remind me, but I don't know. I didn't see Spider-Man.
This is
watch movies.
The Fortean Slip, episode 104. I do believe it's 104. Is it 104?
Sure. That's what you said at the beginning.
Sure. Halloween decorations. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. You can check out our good friend, Mr. Matt Knapp, down there in the corner at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads and youtube.com/cryptid tales. You can hear his nice new smooth, buttery smooth microphone on his video.
Yeti X.
The Yeti X. Check out us on anchor.fm/the Fortean Slip. I usually have the audio uploaded to Anchor a few hours after the show. Check out Richard Allen's comic strip on Facebook. That's Bigfootin' with Keith and Colin. You can check out our good friend Phil Poling at youtube.com/parabreakdown. And Phil also likes to send me intros. For those of you who would like to know, he does. And as always, check out our good friend Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. He's been at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con, Terror Fest, some shit this weekend, posting videos. I would have been throwing him on the like page, but the like page has been down this week because of those bastards. Yes. Oh yeah, pussy's the lot. We're pussy's the lot of us.
Hey, whatever.
Walter,
Walter has a cool icon.
eat shit. I mean,
picture there.
really, like pussy's the lot of you. We had plenty to say. We destroyed your fucking logic. You're a cunt head. You're part of everything that's wrong with this country or world, wherever you're from. So come back next week. We'll trash you again because you're a piece of shit. How's that? Think that's enough, Steve?
It sounded very pussy-like.
Okay.